Hey everyone, it's Dying Demon and welcome back to Minecraft, Dungeons, Dragons, and Space Shuttles. So today's video is something I started a while back, but I did a stream actually to do it, and then we got distracted fighting Gaia. And it's all about automating my Tinker Smelter to do alloys. Now, I've already got it all set up and ready to go. I don't have all the alloys set up, but I thought I'd just show you from the get-go. So, to begin with, I redid my smelter room, and I am missing one of you. Why? Ooh, I only got 12 Ooh, that really sucks. Hold on, let me go. The objective of setting up all this automation and everything is so that I can come into here and just type in what I need, and if I'm out of it, I can just create it. This makes it far simpler to get things done. I'm just making it really complicated now because God forbid I actually be, you know, properly prepared. I only need more. You know what? This is a good chance to actually show you how this works. So, to begin with, what you're going to need is our smelters. Now, there's multiple ways to do this. I did 4 of them. Just because I want to be able to have different materials in each one, so there's no alloy mixing without my approval. So we're going to start with this. Every one of them, well, like this one has ovium. This one has Terax, which is a mix of ovium, and this one has Karmasine, and this one has Joxum. And what this means is if I go upstairs and say I want to make these materials with the ore, it'll push it in, and then I set up whitelist on this. So what I need to do is put a whitelist in here actually for liquid ovium, and it will make me ovium, which will pump out of, which is the only thing it'll pump out. The reason why I'm using resonant servos instead of regular servos is because of just how large the whitelist is. Underneath, this is where the old furnace used to be, I ripped it up. So underneath each of them, underneath the controller for each, I have a crafter, and I have made sure that it's face up. Think of this like an arrow. This is the arrow, this is the top, it points into it. This is what pushes the ore and material into this. And they're all connected via my cabling network. Underneath each casting table is an importer, and then I have a regular fluid duct and an inner resonant servo. I need to make another one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you. So what you have to do to make this work, you have to set up patterns into your input here. And since I'm pushing all these over here, to do that, you need to make a pattern grid, and you need to make actual patterns, because, you know, I can't say it right. Patterns from refined storage, which are pretty cheap. They're just glass, redstone, and special infused iron. I actually think I have an automated thing. No, I don't. I took it out. That's right. Now, let's say I want to make like we just saw Inderium, right? So as we know, the Inderium needs to be 1 ender pearl. Come in there. It needs to be 1 ender pearl, 1 thing of lead, and 1 thing of platinum. And that makes 1 Inderium, which I do need to go ahead and extract that other one so that I can have 1 to actually make it with. We'll set you back on. Thank you. And yes, it does keep your recipe that you already have prepared in there. Now, this is the important part. Whenever you're making these things, because of the fact that it's not a crafting grid, you need to have processing on. When processing is on, it instead just dumps the material, doesn't care how it does it. So I want to create this pattern and shove it on in. Now, let's head down. Alrighty. And we're going to put this in the pattern grid. Now what happens is, as I go upstairs, if I type in Ender, I have 1 Enderium ingot. If I take it out, I have none. So I'm going to need like 7 total ingots. So let's craft 6 more. Would you stop that? If you already got one in the system, you're going to craft another, just Control Shift click. I'm going to craft 6 more of these and hit start. I didn't mean to do that. Control Shift start. It's going to tell you how much it'll take. You'll hit start again. I'm gonna, and it already melted all the lead because I didn't turn it off quick enough. Let me go back upstairs and grab 6 lead. Normally it's a lot easier than this. I just was not paying attention to what I'm doing, and that is my fault. So what it'll do is, as you can see, it's pushed all the material into it. Just melt these up again. So once these melt, I should get a bunch of Enderium, about 7 ingots worth, which is, with my other one, enough to make a bucket. It should be about a bucket worth, and that's important. You're going to need the bucket. So in order to set up the whitelist, you already have to have a bucket of said material. So I'm going to put you in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off. I'm going to disable the importer because I don't want it to suck out my bucket, and put the bucket down. And we're just going to turn you back on, and it's just going to fill up the bucket. Waiting on that last one to smelt, and then it should be enough. Yep, there we go. So let's take the bucket. And because of the way I have mine set up, I'm just going to break this block here. Then you're just going to right click on your servo, insert the the molten Enderium bucket into it. Whoops. And the reason why you want this open on the side is so that whenever you're done, you can just put it back in. I'm going to drop off my ingot cast, put this on, and let's turn back on the, there we go. And now it'll just pour it out. Oh, I have it on blacklist. Oh, there you go, whitelist. And it's just, you got to make sure this is set to whitelist as well. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull it out of here and pump it in. And if we go upstairs and look at our crafting grid, it's processing it. And every time one of them come in, the processing drops down one more. See, 4, then 3, then 2. And I have this set up across all of them. So let me go finish making my another servo. The heck? It blew up. Huh? Well then, so apparently something I was doing with something caused it to blow up. That explains where my other servo went. Is it something with the fluid ducts? Well then, I should really read that. These will break if they're extremely hot or cold. I need to make a hardened fluid duct or signalium plated. I'm a fool. Una momento. Okay, I've got most of the issues fixed. I am so sorry about that. I never read a thing saying that it had to be a certain temperature. But just for heads up, for those of you who do it, use hardened or better fluid ducts so that you don't lose all your work on setting up your filters. Oops, sorry. So something else the reason why I'm coming back now to show you is if you look at your ducts and you first place them, they have a tendency to combine. Just take a crescent hammer, pretty cheap to make, and just right click the middle. There you go. And it unjoins them. Let me up. I didn't mean to do that. So I'm gonna be right back. I need to go ahead and set up a I'm gonna go ahead and get the stuff set up for my filters. I'm back. So all in all, this just sets everything up to be automated. So remember, I recommend using resonant servos so that you can whitelist. Speaking of, I forgot to do Karmazine on that one. But that way you can whitelist it. The reason why I recommend using multiple smelters is simply because you don't want things with the same content mixing together. If let's say you want to make, like let's say you have Ovium, Karmazine, and Terax, and you know, when you mix those three together, if you have Ovium, Karmazine, and Joxum, when you mix those three together, they make Terax. But let's say you have a bunch of it, and of all of them, and you want to melt them all, but don't want to make Terax, so you need to keep them separate. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and drain out this one, because I was trying to do Signalium. As a heads up, it was recommended in the DDSS Discord that I don't use the smelter recipe for it, that I instead use the crafting table one. So I'd recommend doing the same, because if you try doing it in here, you're going to end up with a mixture that is always wrong, because one redstone gives you 100 millibuckets of destabilized redstone, one redstone powder anyway, and one Constantin gives you 144 millibuckets of Constantin fluids, and the ratio is 1 millibucket of Constantin to 3 millibuckets of redstone. So you'll always end up with a recipe that gives you a weird amount, which is why this is just not going to be enough. It's going to leave me like with some weird number. Like right here, you have 28 millibuckets remaining, and at that point I might as well just break it so I can get rid of the excess and then set you back to whitelist. And so for Signalium, I'd recommend doing it via the crafting table as well, just to keep things nice and orderly. Let me go grab the... Also, just a heads up, these right here, the crafters, can face into the bottom, the sides, the top, or the front of the smelter. But remember, the smelter needs to be surrounded. The smelter, the sides of it, whatever side is also part of the matrix over here, the smelter design must be covered in a smelter block. It's like, this could be where the smeltery drain is. The back of it will still have access to the inside of this, and because of that, I could have it coming in from the side and the front and the bottom, instead of just the bottom or the side being available. Another thing, if you want to use a bigger setup where there's just one thing and you think you can handle all the alloys mixing, you could pump crafters, just like with exporters, into hoppers. And so each side of the hopper can have it, if the intake part of the hopper can have a crafter on it, and it'll just pump it in and make it work. Another thing you could do, which if I could, thank you. Another thing you could do is have liquids pump directly into your computer, so you don't have to worry about alloying. You just melt down all the original ores, and then you can set up fluid crafting and have it pump the fluid directly into a smaller one of these, and it alloys in there, and then it just pumps out into a into one of these using an exporter set to fluids. But I didn't do it that way. I like this way a little bit better, and I need to remake you because I accidentally mined you out. But yeah, that is how you would automate this, and let's just show you what it looks like. Let's say I want Constantin. I already have 64, but for the sake of it, let's just make 64 more. So if I go to, which one did I have set to make Constantin? Yeah, this one. If I go to this one, it's pumped in all the ingots already. And I told it to start. And I need to set these to ignore redstone, that way they're always working. I forgot to do that. There we go. I didn't set it to 64, I set it to 1, didn't I? Whoops. There we go. And it'll just keep filling it up, and if it reaches a point where it can't inject anymore, it'll stop until it can inject more. As you can see, it's just filling it up with it goes. That alloys it, and when it's done, it all gets sucked into this. But yeah, for now, this is how you automate your... This is one way to automate your smelters. I find it very useful because it keeps me from having to scratch my head and constantly having to go around and figure out which setup I need to make which element. Instead, I just click on the button and hit go. It tells me if I'm out of anything. I go gather what I'm out of, and there I go. But this has been Dying Demon. Until next time. Bye.